Good morning, everyone. It is 11 o'clock in the West, so we will get started, recognizing that there will be some people join us throughout the morning and join the call. Thank you to all of you who joined us this morning. Looks like we have some of our customer partners as well as numerous members of our sales team, so thank you for joining us this morning. My name is Adam Geiser. I'm the Vice President of Sales for Marks Commercial, and the purpose of today's meeting is protecting your workforce with the right footwear. And so today we're going to spend some time talking about selecting the right footwear. We'll give you a brief introduction to Marks Commercial. We'll talk about why choosing the right industrial footwear matters. We'll spend a little bit of time talking about innovations in footwear. Specifically, we'll spend an extra bit of time on the IceFX technology. We'll talk a little bit about our footwear digital voucher, and then we'll have a live Q&A at the end. For those of you on the call, you're welcome to put any questions that you may have as they come up in the chat, or you're welcome to raise your hand, and we'll try and come to you as quick as we can. Before we get started, I'd like to also welcome Ian Summers to the call. Ian is our Vice President of Industrial Workwear, Footwear, and Innovation at Marks. So Ian and I will be taking you through the presentation. He will take you through the technical details of the presentation, and I'll jump in towards the end. So just quickly, for all of you on the call, the Marks Commercial, the purpose for us and why we exist is we're committed to working together with our vendor partners and client partners across the country towards an incident and accident-free future. For us, the biggest and most important thing is that all employees across Canada come home safely from work each day. That is our mission. That is our mandate. It's why we get out of bed every morning. So happy to all of you to have all of you join us today. Just briefly in terms of who we are and what sets us apart for those of you that don't know. As part of Marks Commercial, we are part of the Canadian Tire family. We are directly connected to the Marks family as well. We have 380 stores across Canada. The biggest difference for us is obviously the economies of scale that come with this business and being part of a world-class Canadian brand like Canadian Tire. We offer our own private label brands. We're able to provide innovative product development. And at the end of the day, we are able to scale up and flex our fulfillment solutions to meet each of your needs. So why choosing the right footwear matters? I think there's a whole bunch of reasons. For many of you on this call, you not only wear the footwear, but you're also part of selecting your footwear for your employees. And at the end of the day, we know that industrial footwear is one of the most important things to not only ensure you select the right product, but the right fitting product as well. So industrial footwear protects against injuries. It shields your feet from impact, punctures, and compressions. Obviously, it meets safety standards and ensures compliance on workplace regulations. It helps reduce slips, trips, and falls and improves traction on slick or uneven surfaces. It supports comfort. Obviously, we know that with comfort comes minimized fatigue during long shifts. By minimizing fatigue, you also minimize the potential of risks due to incidents and accidents on the site. Durable footwear obviously lasts longer, has lower replacement costs, and prevents injuries. It boosts morale because it shows employees a commitment to their well-being. And it's really about industry-specific tailored fits and tailored protections for every different job site and every different role. I think what we've come to realize over the years is not every job site has the same challenges. And so that's why it's incredibly important to select the right footwear. So as I mentioned, I have Ian Summers joining us. I am going to hand the call over to Ian. Ian and I have had the privilege of working together for the last number of years, and I would argue Ian is probably one of the world-renowned experts in industrial footwear and specifically innovation. So happy to have him joining us today, and he's going to take all of you through the presentation. So Ian, I believe you are on the line and ready to take over. He is going to take over the presentation right now. So Ian, I'm going to hand it over to you.
Thanks, Adam. I'm not sure about world renowned, but they have been in the business for a long time. So welcome everyone. Good morning, good afternoon. Not sure where you're from. Here in Calgary, it was outside the city -5 this morning. We had snow last weekend, so it's kind of appropriate that we get into a little bit into slips, trips, and falls, and a safer way to walk on ice. So I took control, but there we go. Just to introduce you to a few of our technologies, innovations, proprietary materials and whatnot that we use inside of footwear. We have a whole program of types of safety toe protective. That's mostly over the safety toe, so not the steel and not necessarily the composite, but on composites we do mold and manufacture our own. And Duratoe Access is one of those where we kind of ergonomically shift the toe so that it's better for kneeling down, a bending of the foot, and without having your baby toe jam into the side of it, and also giving you more protection on the baby toe. Fresh Tech is a odor control or odor management that we apply to the linings of our footwear. HD3 is this short form for Hyperdry 3, which is our proprietary membrane that we use, and spend a lot of time with this membrane, making sure that its environmental impact is at a minimum. You'll hear about ice effects. Some of you, I think most of you probably already know about ice effects. It's our technology that we use inside of footwear. Outsoles to help prevent slips on ice. We call it a safer way to walk on ice because ice is very, very challenging, and I'll get into that more in detail when I talk about the different types of ice conditions that you can come across. And just to prelude to that, if you think about if you're on the east side of the building and it's in the morning, that ice is going to start to soften up as soon as the sun comes out. If you are on the west side of the building, it's still cold and hard and very dry, as it won't see sun for hours. And then you have the wind, which could hit on the north side or the south side. And then you get the south side, which changes as the sun goes around. So it's forever changing. So it's a real challenge in order to figure out how to master the ice conditions. Endurolite is a new product that we've just launched, and I'll get into that a little bit more. It's about supercritical foam, which we've been able to put into safety footwear. T-Max is a lining that we use inside of our footwear for additional warmth. T-Max on its own is an insulation. I'll talk to you a little bit more about that. We also have T-Max Aerogel, which we put on the below the foot, usually below the footbed. And aerogel acts as one of the best to fight against heat transfer, and the reason that we put it down closest to the sole of the boot. Quad Comfort is our way of addressing to make sure that we look at 4 very distinct points of comfort for safety footwear as well as casual footwear. Airframe, that's a little bit of something we've been working on this for a while. One is to keep your foot a little bit cooler. The other is to give it more protection without any type of bulk. So still working on this. Vislight, you won't see a lot of Vislight on footwear. You'll see a ton of it though on safety vests, high-vis jackets, safety high-vis t-shirts. And Vislight basically glows in the dark. It's phosphorescent, so it doesn't need light to have it reflect back. And so the beauty of this is that somebody wearing a high-vis vest or a high-vis boot or can be seen even though there's no light shining on them. ArmorFlex is our very first our composite plate, which we've had well, in the business now for I think about 20 years. We keep improving that. ArmorFlex Plus is a little bit thicker but lighter weight and gives that much more protection, because when the first generation, actually the first two generations of composite plates, screws or nails could actually penetrate it, even though it passed CSA testing. Certain amount of weight and force coming down onto a say a nail or a screw that's protected because it's come through a piece of wood or material and has a good base. When you come down on it with a more force than what would be tested under CSA, it could actually puncture it. But we've done a very good job at negating any type of incident like that. Tarantula outsole, Tarantula is our anti-slip outsole technology that we use mostly in industrial, the service industry, hospitality industry, health industry. Prevent slips and trips, mostly on the inside workers. NestFit is a technology that the last and the molds actually have 5 toes and are shaped like a foot. And so when your foot goes into that, it settles down into, and hence the name NestFit. The issue with NestFit is it's not the most attractive looking, because you see all the toe telegraph through the outside of the boot. But it is one of the most comfortable things to wear, and we like it so much now that we put it into sandals, and it gives a great fit and level of comfort inside of sandals. Adaptive fit is on hold for us for right now. We're trying to figure out a way to have a boot be more customized to your foot using different types of materials. Think a little bit like heat molded shaping to your foot. And Quad Comfort Momentum is a technology that we use inside of casual footwear. And what that does is that propels you into your next step. And so reduces the amount of wear and stress on your body as you move into the next step. Sorry, went down. This is a little bit of a delayed reaction. So I was talking to you about Hyperdry 3 earlier on. We're very proud of this membrane and the work we've done on it. As I mentioned, the environmental impact is at a real minimum. We're also working on, some of you may be aware of OutDry, which was a technology developed in Italy many years ago, where you try and attach the membrane right to the inside of the leather so that there's no gap between the outside material and the membrane booty on the inside. And we've found a new way that we've just developed and actually had the equipment built to be able to do that. The idea for that is to reduce the amount of weight that the boot takes on when it's wet. And for any of you that work in wet conditions all the time, once a boot gets heavy because it's been saturated, the longer the day goes, the worse it gets. And then becomes that much more challenging to keep the moisture from penetrating through the membrane because there's so much pressure on it. This is we test up to 50,000 flexes, and we do test each pair as we build them. Maybe by the end of the presentation, I'll have figured out how to go to the next slide. so Endurolite, so I was telling you a little bit about it on our first slide and talking about supercritical foam. This is a case where you introduce types of gas. In our case, a mixture of nitrogen and other gases. We believe that our Endurolite foam material is one of the best in the marketplace. The athletic brands obviously had adopted this technology a couple of years back. We spent 2 years developing and making sure that we had a superior foam because we're introducing it into work boots. And when you think of athletic footwear, generally speaking, it's only meant to be worn for a few hours for a sport or a run. It's not meant to be worn 10 hours a day like a worker wears his work boots or her work boots. And so we're very happy with the foam we have. So what you do is with the introduction of the gases, then you take foam right up to what they call a critical state, and you stop at that. What you're after is maximum performance and the maximum amount of weight reduction that you can get from the foam. So it's I believe it is actually in the stores now, and we'll have it in a 8-inch work boot very shortly if we don't have it in the stores already. And if you're on your feet all day long, 10 hours a day inside of a pair of work boots, this is going to be something that you're really going to enjoy by the end of your shift. So as an introduction into ice effects, sorry, it got there we go. My apologies. So ice effects. Many years ago, we were determined to find a way to create a safer way to walk on ice. And we started that in 2003. And at that time, we put a stake in the ground as a company that our goal was to prevent slips, trips, and falls, whether it be in the service hospitality industry, whether in the health industry, construction industry, or outside walking on ice. Ice is obviously the biggest challenge, as I mentioned before. Trying to understand the conditions that you're going to be dealing with on a winter day when it comes to ice is almost impossible. And sun and wind and deflection of buildings, traffic, the environment that you're in. So in Ontario, you tend to have wetter ice than we do out here in the West, where our ice is very dry. And then the biggest concern and issue for us is that the bottom of the tread of the boot actually never gets to the ice because there is snow on top of the ice. And then what you have there is you pack down the snow, and then you have shear, where the next time you move your foot, it'll take that snow and shear across the ice, and the footwear never actually got a chance to perform. And that is something that we've been trying to overcome and spend a lot of time in consideration of developing the tread pattern of our outsoles. So much so that we're working with a research center in Toronto called KITE. They're part of UHN on University Avenue. We do all of our actual footwear live testing with KITE and their facilities. And we've since signed up for a project in trying to use AI to try and figure out the best way, with all the intelligence that we have of all the types of footwear that we've tested, all the types of treads out there, what is the best tread design to be able to cut through that snow and then make contact with the ice so the boot can actually perform and do what it's intended to do. So for us, we have two different types of technologies. We're actually working on a third one, which I think will be able to deliver hopefully in 2026. Currently, what we have right now is what's called Green Diamond technology. We met the owner of Green Diamond Technology in Asia back in 2007, and this synthetic quartz was being put into tires for cars in Iceland. And when we met him, we'd been trying all types of things. We'd tried coconut shells, we'd tried walnut shells, we'd tried metal filings, we'd tried fiberglass. We'd tried everything inside of an outsole. And so we asked him if he thought that we could put this into a molded rubber outsole. And he said he didn't know why we couldn't do it. What we didn't know is that it's much easier to put it into tires, the way they build tires, than it is putting it into an outsole or a pair of outsoles. No two outsoles will be the same. The product gets distributed by hand into the mold along with the rubber and then baked. And you have no control over where it actually ends up. And so we've had to, along the years, figure out how much exactly we need inside of each lug as we then put the rubber in and then bake it. And then what happens with the technology is the patented part of it is not the quartz crystal, the synthetic crystals. It is actually the binder. So the binder that gets attached to the synthetic quartz and then binds against the rubber. And that is the real technology. And as you continue to wear it, the synthetic quartz will continue to come to the surface. So you will lose some as you wear down your boots. It's advised not to wear this type of footwear in a warm climate or warm environment, and certainly not on walking on hard concrete or pavement without any type of snow and ice will wear down the tread considerably. It's a fine line to get the right durometer of the rubber, which is the right hardness or softness to give you the traction and the flexibility that you need in a cold environment. It doesn't matter what type of rubber you use, that as soon as it goes from a warm climate to a cold climate, the rubber will start to stiffen and harden. And so the balance is keeping it as soft and flexible as you can without it wearing out in a matter of months. And then the other technology that we use, and you can see that we're combining them now. We got Icelandic grip, which is a little bit like fiberglass fibers mixed in with a rubber compound. And that technology is very good for sticking to wet ice, and Green Diamond is very good at wet ice and dry ice. And so now we use them in combination, and you can see around the outside of that outsole on the right-hand side where we're using Green Diamond and the lugs around the outside, and then down the center of the ball of the foot and into the heel, we're using the Icelandic grip. And we are forever learning and fine-tuning how to get the best traction in all the right places that it's required. I mentioned that we're working on another technology, hopefully to be released in fall of 26. And we're also working with the University of Okanagan and we started out trying to introduce graphene into rubber to keep it from icing up in the wintertime. The idea is that if we could keep ice from sticking to and freezing to rubber we could create the ultimate outsole for winter footwear. And sometimes I like to use the analogy of just imagine your windshield wiper. So there's nothing more frustrating than trying to get all the ice off your windshield wiper. Imagine if we had a rubber compound that you could be used in your windshield wipers, that ice wouldn't stick to it. And that's our goal that we've been working now 3 years now with the University of Okanagan. And what we did find is we found what won't work. And we still have yet to find out what will. The good thing about the graphene, we got a lot more wear, but we couldn't get it to perform the way we wanted to in extreme cold conditions. So that's still yet to come. What do we got here? Just the different types of treads. I think I've gone over most of them on the previous slide. It's very important. We worked with the University of Calgary many years ago to understand heel strike. And heel strike is typically where you will have your first incident with slipping. So the minute that heel comes down and makes contact is either you're going to start slipping or you're not, and you may get into your next step without slipping, but it's so critical, that point of contact. So what we've tried to do in all of our footwear, we've even used collapsible heels so they mushroom out. So we increase the contact surface area by 1,000 times more than on original rigid heel. So getting that right angle on the back of the heel, getting the right the rubber compound in the back of the heel, and the right tread design, and making sure when you come down on your heel strike that you make good solid contact. And then as your foot rolls down and into the forefoot, and then as your forefoot and heel comes up and your forefoot starts to push you backwards, making sure that we get the best surface contact there as well. And so to deliver on all of that, we test that way. And so it would be the next slide that I'll show you on the where we test. So I think I also covered pretty well on this slide. You can see the green diamond on the top all by itself, and how it's embedded into the different lugs. And you can see how when we put the Icelandic grip, we have to build what's called a color dam or a dam around the IceFX Icelandic grip. We're coming up with ways so we don't have to do that, because one of the things that we don't want is the Icelandic grip to wear and be at the same level or even below the rubber. And so that rubber, if it has a raised dam like that, that rubber has to be extremely soft to make sure that it wears faster than the Icelandic grip. And the goal is to ultimately not have to use that. And we do have some footwear out there right now where we've designed it that way. Should have a little music for that next slide delay. So again, just a little bit more on the Icelandic grip. You can see on the right where we've used the Icelandic grip on down the center of the outsole, and the green diamond around the perimeter of the outsole. Yeah, I don't know if you can see the heel on the back on the one on the right. You can see it's got a bit of a slope to it, and green diamond in there. And then you can see the one on the left where we've changed the point of contact, and we've created a lateral grip, if you will, and ridge along there, and we don't have the green diamond in the heel of that one, and the same on the toe of the one on the left. A lot of this is really test and learn. What we do find out as we test, and once we get in and show you how we do the testing, we can test prototypes, but in order to get a rating, we have to test production. So that means we have to go into production without fully understanding what our rating is. We have a pretty good idea, and we have a pretty good idea on the performance, but you can't get your rating on a boot until it's production. So I talked to you. I knew that was going to happen. I talked to you about testing at Kite. It is a winter lab. If you ever get the opportunity to go down several floors below ground in the Kite facility, it is an amazing lab. We have been a partner with Kite for coming on close to 20 years now. We built a ramp in there for them to test on hospitality and service industry footwear. And this unique winter lab that they have is like a NASA chamber. It can rotate up to in any direction and up to, I think, 22 degrees. We can take the inside temperature down below -20. So what we do in there is we freeze the floor. And then the boots get tested on it, ascending and descending. And these are live testers that we're doing with this, not on a machine. So our testing starts in 2 stages. We test in the UK lab, Satra lab, and sometimes in China as well. I prefer to do the testing at Satra because it's one consistency of how we test all the time. So we take our proto test samples and we send them to Satra to do machine testing. And that's basically the boot goes onto an artificial foot and it gets dragged across the ice from the heel, from the forefoot, and then down on the flat. And the coefficient of friction is measured. And if we get the results that we like, we then go into developing another sample, and then we send that sample to Kite for testing. And if we like the results then we then go into production. And then after production, we then send a production pair to Kite to go through full testing. It's quite a process that we have. And I think it's one of the best. There's a lot of people in the industry that aren't as supportive as we are for live testing. I was at the ASTM meeting in Toronto in June, I think it was June, and was trying to encourage them to take and listen and look at the results from our industrial lab that we had that I mentioned that we were creating for service and hospitality industry, also for roofing. And there was a lot of people really interested in the lab because then they could take all the different types of roofing materials and put it on the ramp. And the ramp does, again, it raises and lowers, and you have to be able to walk up and walk back down in order to get a pass. And you have to do that 4 times. 4 people have to do that. And you default to the lowest common denominator. All of these testers are in full harness, both in the winter lab and on the industrial ramp lab. So there's no fear of any danger. We don't specify any one type of tester. So there's men and women. There's different weights, sometimes up as much as 100 pounds. And this is where we get the pushback from the industry. They tell us that it's not static enough testing. And I agree with them. Every lab's going to do it differently. But what it is it's the closest thing to real life because we build footwear and we build it in a size 9 or a lady size 7. And we have no idea who's going to be wearing that boot. We have no idea how tall they are, how much they weigh, the type of work they do. And so this is why I do like this type of testing. And as I mentioned, we also do the SATRA testing, which is third-party testing and which the industry will use. Just didn't want them to disregard human testing because I believe it's very, very important. So these are the 3 areas that we test on the SATRA machine to make sure that we like the product that we've built. You can see now on your right, that's the outside of the winter lab. You can see the sign on there. It's talking about rate my treads. That's something that I'm going to tell you about in a few minutes here and how to rate your footwear. You can go online and see rate my treads. You can see the stairway up into the chamber, the door, and then this is it on the inside, on the left-hand side. So you can see the person is there under full harness, and he starts to walk, or she, and as they go to one end and then back down, that's a full ascend and descend. And all 4 people have to do the same thing. What will happen is this one person will continue to go as high as they can. And every time they make a complete pass back and forth, then it gets raised up another degree and then another degree. And you can tell in slide number 4 that is quite a slope that he's climbing on. And now all 4 testers have to go in and complete the same thing. And then the tester that has the lowest score, that's what we default to. So some of our boots, and it could be because the person is a better walker on ice, more confident. Could be because they're slightly heavier and they get better traction on the ice. There could be any reason why somebody has a better score than the other one. But again, we like what we have here. So you can see to get your rating is based on snowflakes. So you have to get pass at a 7 degree minimum, both up and down. And then you have to, if you stay anywhere between a 7 and a 10 degree slope, you get 1 snowflake. You have to be over the 10 degree slope in order to, by 1 degree. So you have to achieve 11. So if you're 10 and a half, 10.7, it is still a 1 snowflake. So we always default to the most conservative rating. And Rate My Treads was designed with us and Kite. We needed a third party to give it legitimacy. And we funded the program from start to finish. But then we invited every other brand in the marketplace. Brands from all over the world come over and go through the same testing protocol to rate their footwear. So this wasn't something that we did just for us. We did this to improve overall improvement of footwear in the marketplace. And then you can see if you get an 11 to a 14, you can actually achieve 2 snowflakes, and then you have to achieve greater than 15 degree slope. All 4 people have to pass that in order to get 3 snowflakes. It's a very challenging thing to do. And where the 7 degree slope came from, all of you are familiar with the slopes on the sidewalk in the cities where wheelchair access goes from the road to the top of the sidewalk at every crosswalk or intersection. That slope on those sidewalks is 7 degrees. And that's where the 7 degrees came from. You have to be able to step on that slope and be able to get up the slope and onto the sidewalk. So, Adam, I'm going to turn it back over to you.
Perfect.
I
Thanks,
will
Ian.
stop. I will stop taking control. There you go.
Perfect. Thanks, Ian. Appreciate your time. Um, Before we get any further, maybe I'll just stop, Ian. Obviously, you presented a ton of information. I'll just stop for a second, see if anyone has any questions they'd like to ask. For anyone on the line, if you do have questions, you're welcome to put your hand up, or you're welcome to put them in the chat. So maybe, Ian, I'll just give it a second just to see if
Sure.
anyone has any questions. Okay.
While
Looks
you're
like
thinking about
looks
while you're
like
thinking about questions, I was talking about the industrial ramp. So Rate My Treads right now is for on ice, and hopefully sometime before the end of this year or the very start of next year, you're going to see another Rate My Treads on industrial service and hospitality footwear. So we're going to go create a benchmark in the industry, and hopefully invite every brand and every retailer and anybody that wants to come out and test and have your footwear rated on Rate My Treads. It'll probably be water drops or something like that. So you get one water drop, water drops. We've had a lot of debate about whether on the service and hospitality industry, it should be about slope or not. And we ended up in a place where, yes, it should be about slope, because in a lot of freezers or kitchens where there might be a freezer, there is sometimes a ramp up into that freezer. And so we are sticking with the slope. And what you will see is, you'll see, I mentioned to you that if you get a 7 and you get a 10.7, you're still only one snowflake, but you're going to see the actual rating for every shoe going forward. So one shoe or boot might have got a 9, the other one a 10, the other one an 8 or a 7. They'll all be one snowflake, but you can tell now which boots give you better traction than the other, even though it's within the same snowflake range. So that's something that we were excited about, to get just a little more clarity and definition on the performance.
awesome. Thanks, Ian. For those of you that may not feel comfortable putting questions in the chat, you're welcome to reach out after. You're welcome to reach out to myself or Ian or your sales rep if you have questions. Oh, here we go. Ian, I got a question for you. Happen to know Jody very well. Jody is well respected in the industry, and Jody's question is related to ice protection. Have you considered any type of overshoe with spikes that could offer slip and fall protection as well as being waterproof?
Yeah, so we do sell, Jody. We do sell a lot of call them overshoes, clamps, spikes, studs. We sell an awful lot of them. We had a meeting with CP Rail and Gorby just not that long ago, and they've made it mandatory that some areas that workers work in will have to wear the spike over the boot. The main reason that we're trying to do without that is it's very cumbersome. And I'm also very concerned about any type of apparatus over the outside of the boot catching on any type of railing, stairs, machinery, and causing a slip, trip, or fall because of it. We had introduced. We have, I believe, one of the greatest technologies that we've come across. We actually own the technology. It was retractable spikes. It was a great concept. It was proven out in the Alps in Austria. And at the back of the heel, you turn, you pull like a lever out, and you give it 2 turns, and then you push it back in, and all of a sudden you have spikes now that are about 1/8 of an inch below the rubber treads. And Conceptually, it's a great technology because you can get rid of it in a heartbeat. There's very little danger except metal on metal, which is another huge risk of having metal studs or metal cleats or spikes strapped over your boots and then trying to walk on metal. Our issue was the product worked great in Western Canada because we don't use salt in Western Canada on our roads and sidewalks. But in Eastern Canada, especially in Quebec, the salt corroded up the mechanism so bad that we couldn't get the studs to go back and forth. We were adamant that we were going to find a solution around it. As of today, we have not, but a great question. Like on snow, on top of ice, probably the best performance is to put on spikes or cleats. It's one of the ways you will guarantee to try to get as close to the ice surface and cut through the snow as possible.
Awesome.
I hope that answered your question.
Thanks, Ian, and thanks, Jody, for asking the question. Like I said, if anyone else has any questions as they come up, please feel free to throw them in the chat. So we talked a little bit about, well, Ian talked at length about innovations. And one of the things when we think about footwear, we think about not just the innovations in footwear itself, but also being innovative in how we deliver footwear solutions to our customers. So one of the things that I'll quickly take you through is what we're about to introduce to the market, and it's called Digital Voucher. And so for many of you that have done business with us before, if you have a footwear program with us, you've known that historically we manage that footwear business with a piece of paper that's handed out to employees. We've recognized for the last number of years that obviously that process, I would say, is fairly antiquated. So what we've developed is what we're calling a digital voucher solution. And what digital voucher solution is it allows us the ability to take the paper vouchers that you're accustomed to dealing with and transition to a completely digital solution. This allows you to manage your employee entitlements. It allows you to manage employees who have access to it. It allows you to manage employees who are either entering or exiting your businesses. And the best part with this is it allows you to completely control what your employees are purchasing. And what this gives you is a much greater sense of what I'll call asset protection for your employees. So what you see on the screen here is on the right-hand side, you'll see a little barcode up in the corner. Employees pull this up on their phone when they go into the stores. The employees scan the barcode and it limits and regulates what your employees are able to purchase. So it's certainly a far more modern way to procure footwear for your employees, and certainly a better way to eliminate potential fraud or asset protection risks. So when you look at digital voucher and the benefits to it, it's a secure way to manage employee profiles and entitlements. We know that a large portion of our customers today currently provide, whether it's money on a paycheck or pay for their employees' footwear. So this allows for a secure way to manage that. It allows you to monitor employee purchasing in real time and track issued, redeemed, and remaining entitlements. So for companies who have a specific budget allocated, it allows you to monitor that in real time. It allows you to add new employees and assign dollar-based entitlements. So if your company provides $150, you can add new employees and assign that dollar-based entitlement to them immediately. It also provides additional entitlements to employees when needed. So if you have safety rewards programs or you have incentives based on tenure, you can go in and add as needed. And as I mentioned, it allows you to disable employees to prevent voucher usage or voucher access. So, historically using paper documents makes it hard to manage those programs, especially as employees come and go. This allows you to manage that real time. And then in terms of the benefits for your employees, it provides a secure and unique login to access their vouchers, view their purchases, and the best part is they can track their remaining entitlements. So you can, if you set $200 as their entitlement and they only use $150, they'll be able to see and visibly be able to acknowledge the amount they have left on their benefit program. It's a unique voucher barcode, so it ensures that the footwear program that the employees select aligns with what they're allowed to purchase. That is one of the most important things for us, is ensuring that they're only able to purchase what they're allowed to. As I mentioned, it automatically deducts their entitlement, and it captures all of their invoicing details, employee ID, etc. So this is a new way of procuring through our business that we are just bringing to market now, and will be the go forward strategy for our business to make it easier for our customers to purchase, not only for the companies to provide for their employees, but also for their employees to use as well. So just wanted to take a second and share that, because I think it's important that we recognize that while we're committed to finding innovative solutions to our footwear, we're also committed to finding innovative solutions to delivering that footwear to your employees as well too. So Ian, I noticed there was one additional comment in the questions that said, what would be a recommendation for snow over metal?
Thanks, Adam. I was just typing out a response to that, but I prefer to answer it in person. Um, the best would obviously be the tread design with the deepest lugs, because you're going to have to cut through the snow and hopefully get to the metal. Icelandic grip would give you the best surface contact if it was Icelandic grip against the metal. But because you threw the snow in there, then the best performance that you'll be able to get would be with the green diamond on a deep lug, and that would give you your best performance. And there's another. This is a really good reason why we work so hard to try and get the right compound, the right durometer, because it's important that that rubber stays soft and flexible. I once saw a pair of boots. A friend of mine works in northern Alberta and Saskatchewan, BC as well. He hauls around some of the biggest cranes that are in North America, and he works in some conditions where he's literally in minus 50 degrees. And I had given him a pair of boots to try that they were injected Wellington, so full height. For those of you that know the Dunlop boot, it was similar to that, or the Ice Bear, or the Helly Hansen. And we were been working on the top compound. Because they were samples, they didn't put the outsole compound in the way it should have been built, because we were just testing out the upper. And he brought me back the boots. It was minus 48, and the boot literally cracked in half. It got so hard. I've never seen anything quite like it. Just broke in half while he was walking. Luckily, I told him that they were samples, and that he better have another pair of boots. But that made sure that we never put a pair of boots out there in sample compound rather than actual compound.
And Ian, it was mentioned that the group is ironworkers who are on and off metal structures.
Oh, yeah. Oh, that's a tough one, because do your iron workers wear heels or flat sole? Typically,
heels mostly, Ian.
Okay, because originally an iron workers, I was an iron workers apprentice for a very short time, long time ago. I worked with a lot of iron workers, and we all wore, for those of you that have been around in the business for a long time, H Brown with a crepe blown rubber sole. And it's kind of off-white, kind of almost yellowish, and the leather was a red leather upper with a white lace to toe. That was, and probably still is, the best iron workers boot there is. The trouble is it's not made anymore. And a lot of places have mandated that they go to a heel boot, and I'm not sure why, but obviously there had to be a good reason for it. What I would look for is to make sure that you find a flexible upper. Um, and I don't know who your rep is at on Mark's Commercial, but if we could get a name, and then we could offer up some solutions and maybe send some samples to your company for some of your guys to wear test. Because I'd like to gather the information back as well. So, Adam, do you know who asked the question? And we could.
Yep, we have Deli asked the question. We have Deli's contact information. I hope I pronounced the name right. I apologize if I butchered that, but we'll certainly reach out after Ian and create a connection or an introduction.
Okay. All right, that'd be great. Yeah, I would, because we'd really like to understand that. I get the two questions I get asked the most are best on steel and best for roofing. And when it comes to roofing, you have to ask what type of material are they walking on? Because now we lay down so many different types of material before we actually put the exterior shell on, whether it be tile or steel or whatever. We lay down a lot of, we lay down tar paper, we lay down polyurethanes, we lay down Tyvek, we lay down many different things now, and all of them perform uniquely.
Ian, we had another question from David. His question was, our female staff constantly complain about the lack of selection in women's sizes. When will Mark start to stock sufficient women's boots to allow them to obtain optimum fit and comfort on the boots they purchase?
Yeah, that's a little bit of a somewhat of a surprising question for me. It's David, right? We like to think that we have one of the best assortments of ladies' footwear, but I'm wondering if it's based on location, and if that's if it's a smaller store or store that doesn't have a large assortment. We are, oh, you're in the Toronto area, so you should have lots of access to it. Again, the market is definitely much smaller, so we are very guilty of putting in more men's choices than women's. None of our women's boots are takedowns of a men's boot. They are all based on women's lasts, not men's lasts. And we actually have a program that we've been working on with a research center in San Diego called Helix, and they've developed a foot mold with 9 different sensors on it, and those sensors are based on pressure. And what you do is you put that mold into the boot or shoe, and the sensors are positioned obviously for comfort, top of the foot, around the heel, ball of the foot, or width, pressure on the toe area, and we measure the fit now of all of our footwear to try and get that optimum fit. And this is based on scans, thousands and thousands of scans of feet, to understand what is the most common type of footwear, or type of foot, sorry, and then how to build footwear around it. So again, David, if I could, if we could get some of the couple of the women that work for your company, and that can't seem to find the boots they like or shoes, if we could get a contact with them, we'd be more than happy to send them some footwear for them to try and get their feedback and understand how we could make it better for them.
So David's comment, he said, store managers resist bringing in women's boots when our staff won't ask them to do so in advance their store visits. So David, maybe we could set up a separate chat offline. Happy to have a conversation with you, whether it's myself or Ian, if you're interested, happy to do that with you. We'll reach out to you. I'll grab your contact information from here, and I'll set up a call for us to chat if that works for you.
Yeah, the one other thing that's important when it comes to women in the trades is that our associate AVP of workwear, so safety footwear and workwear, she's been in the industry a long time. She's never worked in the trades, but it's not guys making women's boots thinking they know what to do, if I could be so blunt. And then her name is Rochelle Lovett. And then we have Megan Dorside, who looks after part of our, we have two workwear buyers. One named Gerard Fernandez, been buying for a long time, and Megan Dorside, she splits the workload with them. So we like to think that we have a pretty good approach to trying to address the needs of women in the industry. It's very challenging understanding where the product should be, because the demand is not as great as it is in men's, and it does create a problem of having dead stock. But we should be addressing your needs, especially in the GTA.
Yeah, so Ian, I'll set up I'll connect with David offline and get a conversation going. Thanks, David, for sharing your feedback. And Alyssa, I apologize, I missed your question in the middle there. When is the online platform going live? We are starting to go live with the digital voucher platform for footwear immediately. We've already done a couple pilots across the country and are now moving the program live. So if you are interested in learning more about it, you're welcome to reach out to your local rep. You're welcome to reach out to myself as well, and happy to answer any questions you may have. Apologize for missing your question. Don't know if we have any other questions. I don't see any other questions in the chat.
I think one just popped up, Adam.
Oh, Alyssa just said thank you. Okay, perfect. Like I said, if you do have questions and you don't feel comfortable posing them in the chat, feel free to reach out to myself. I'll put my email address in the chat, and welcome to answer any questions you may have, or by all means, please reach out to your local rep and they can certainly help you as well. If there are no other questions, just a big thank you to all of you for taking the time today to participate. I know each and every one of you have, work that you're trying to get done throughout the day, and appreciate you taking the time to participate. Hopefully you found it valuable. If you are interested in learning more about any of the products that were talked about today, happy to support you in any way possible. I'll put my contact information in the chat, as I said, and thank you all for joining us today. Hope you have a safe rest of your day, and be well, everyone. Thank you.
Thanks, Adam. Take care, everyone.